All right, let's jump right in. The age of AI is obviously here, but here's the real question. Is your workforce ready for it? Today, we're digging into a fantastic new report from Bob Slovic over at Virtualization Options LLC, a tech research firm based out in Colorado. And what they found is, well, it's a huge disconnect between AI's potential and where we are today. But the good news? They've also given us a clear blueprint on how to fix it.
So let's really think about this question, because it might just be the most important one any business can ask itself right now. I mean, AI is everywhere, right? It's in our software, our inboxes, our daily workflows. That part's a given. But being ready for it, that's a whole different ballgame. And honestly, the answer to this question is probably what's going to decide who wins the next decade and who gets left in the dust.
Okay, to really get a sense of the stakes here, let's talk about the prize. The report from Virtualization Options estimates that AI could add, get this, $4.4 trillion in global productivity. I mean, that's just a mind-boggling number. To put that into perspective for you, that's more than the entire economy of Germany. We're not just talking about another tech trend here. This is a massive, fundamental shift in the economy. So the real question is, who's going to grab a piece of that pie?
So, you're probably thinking, what's the catch, right? With a $4 trillion prize just sitting there, why isn't every single company cashing in? Well, the answer is surprisingly simple, and it has nothing to do with the technology itself. It's about the people. A jaw-dropping 87% of companies say the #1 thing holding them back is a skills gap in their workforce. They literally have the tools, but they don't have the people who know how to use them effectively. And this really shows you the fallout from that skills gap. After all the hype, all the breathless headlines, and all the money being poured into AI, only 1%, just 1% of companies have actually achieved what you'd call AI maturity. That 87% skills gap we just talked about, it's creating a 99% execution gap. It's this enormous, gaping chasm between what companies want to do and what they can actually do.
And the report actually gives this gap a name. They call it the AI skills chasm. It's this massive gulf between the potential of the technology and the current skills of the workforce. And bridging that chasm, that's pretty much the central challenge for every single business out there today.
Okay, but here's the good news. The report doesn't just spend all its time pointing out the problem, it actually offers up a solution. It lays out what they call a universal blueprint for AI training, something that can work for pretty much any industry. So let's break that down, starting with its 4 essential pillars.
So the whole foundation is built on these 4 pillars, and you'll see how each one kind of builds on the one before it. It all starts with #1, AI literacy. And we're not talking about learning to code here, it's just about understanding what AI can, and just as importantly, can't do. From there, you move on to data analytics, which is all about being able to look at what the AI is telling you and think critically about it. Next up, and this one's huge, is prompt engineering. That's basically the art and science of asking the AI the right questions to get the best answers. And finally, you take all those skills and you use them for workflow redesign, which is where you fundamentally rethink how work gets done with AI as your new, superpowered teammate.
All right, so that's the theory, right? That's the blueprint. But what happens when companies actually put this stuff into practice? Well, the results they're not just impressive, they're genuinely transformative. Let's take a look at some of the real-world measurable impact we're seeing across a few different sectors. First up, we're going to start in a field where the stakes really couldn't be any higher: healthcare. I mean, here, accuracy can literally be a matter of life and death. And the result? It is absolutely astounding. When healthcare organizations took the time to train their clinicians on how to properly use and interpret AI diagnostic tools, they saw diagnostic errors drop by 40%. Now just stop and think about that for a second. That isn't just a number on a slide. That's a 40% improvement in patient safety. We're talking about something that could be saving lives, all because of effective human-AI collaboration.
Okay, next up, let's move to the industrial heart of the economy, manufacturing. You know, a world where every single second of uptime and every perfectly made product counts. And the impact here is just as crystal clear. Just look at this chart. After they train their teams to use AI for things like predictive maintenance, that unplanned downtime, the kind of stuff that just cripples a production line, it dropped by 25%. And at the same time, product defects fell by 15%. This is a perfect example of AI training translating directly into real dollars saved and higher quality products.
And for our last example, we're going to jump into the fast-moving world of retail, where knowing what your customers want and actually having it on the shelf is pretty much the whole game.
And the result here, a 30% drop in those frustrating out-of-stock events. Now for the business, that means less wasted inventory, fewer lost sales. But think about it from the customer side. It means the thing you went to the store to buy is actually there. It's a huge win-win for both efficiency and customer loyalty, and it was all unlocked just by training people to work with smarter forecasting tools.
So the results really do speak for themselves. The what and the why are pretty clear by now, so let's pivot and get into the really practical stuff. The how-to playbook based on the best practices from the companies that are actually getting this right. So how do you actually make this happen? Well, the report from Virtualization Options LLC is incredibly clear on this point. And spoiler alert, it's not about buying more software. As you can see from their key finding right here, success isn't a tech problem, it's a leadership challenge. This kind of change has to be driven from the very top with real conviction. And this data right here shows exactly why that leadership is so crucial. It's not negotiable. Without it, look at that. Only 15% of employees actually feel positive about AI. But when leaders are out in front, championing the training and the vision, that number more than triples to 55%. That is the difference between constantly fighting resistance from your team and actually fueling adoption. The playbook also lays out 3 other key strategies. First, personalized learning paths. Because let's be honest, a data scientist needs a totally different set of skill than someone in marketing. Second, you have to measure business outcomes. The goal isn't just to check a box that someone completed a course, it's to see if you actually reduced errors or increased sales. And finally, and this is so important, you have to proactively address employee concerns. You need to turn that fear of the unknown into genuine excitement for what's next. And that really brings us to what might be the most important part of this whole conversation. We have to completely reframe how we think about AI. It's not a technology initiative, it's a human potential multiplier.
You know, this really gets to the fundamental choice that every leader has to make right now. The default fear, the thing everyone worries about, is AI's replacement, automating tasks just to make people obsolete. But what this report shows so clearly is that the real, massive opportunity is in AI as augmentation, using it as a powerful tool to amplify human creativity, human strategy, and human intelligence. The report calls this a symbiotic relationship, and I love that framing. It's a future where we let the machines do what they're good at, the number crunching, the repetitive tasks, the data processing, and that frees up our minds, the human minds, to do what we do best, to invent, to strategize, to connect with people, and to solve those really complex, messy problems that machines just can't touch. So as we wrap this up, the data is just undeniable. The question isn't if you should invest in AI training, it's really how fast can you get it done. Because AI is the tool, sure, but your people, they are, and they always will be, the true force multiplier. So the real question to leave you with is this: how are you going to unlock your team's potential?